everybody, it is I, the Lawn Gnome, and I'm here with another episode of Out of the Vault for April 2017. And before I begin, I want to give a huge shout out with a happy birthday message to one of my biggest supporters of this segment, and that is Matt. Matt, I am so grateful to have you as one of my subscribers. You and I always have great discussions about all the Disney films that I have already reviewed. I know that you wanted to see certain classics, but, with a specific movie coming out in June, I have to get through its predecessors before we get to that. But I am promising you, because of the fact that I had to do this, Pixar is going to be taking a back seat until the end of the year, because we have Coco coming out, and I do want to review Coco after theaters, and we are going to be sticking to just Studio Ghibli and some Disney classics, and I promise you, some of them are your requests. So, what movie are we going to be talking about today, everybody? Well, we're going to be talking about the 12th Pixar animated film from 2011, and that is a surprising sequel from a Pixar film that I wasn't really the biggest fan of, and that is Cars, and of course, Cars 2 is the name of this movie, with the same cast, with a couple of new people, including Eddie Izzard and John Turturro. So, this is an interesting review for me, because this is one of the first movies that I ever actually reviewed on my channel. I originally filmed this in 2011 when I went to see Cars 2. So, before we begin, I'd really like to see what I gave this movie in terms of a final rating. Let's take a look, shall we? So my verdict, Pixar does it again, and I'm giving Cars 2 4 out of 4. That's it, guys. Okay, I'm definitely gonna come right off the bat and say that is not my attitude anymore, but ironically, it's still not that far from the truth. I was not the biggest fan of Cars. Even though it is a good movie for many, it was an okay movie for me. But Cars 2 was a very different kind of movie, and I still feel that some of the things that I really loved about this movie are still things that I like about this movie. The animation definitely had been kicked up a notch, and that's just the evolution of the technology, especially when you take a look at movies like Toy Story and take a look at Toy Story 3, big differences. And it's no different with Cars 2, especially when you take a look at the cities. I loved the way that they made Tokyo, and Italy, and London. They just put so much incredible animation into these beautiful landscapes to really make them look like the actual cities. I also am such a huge fan of spy movies, and I loved the spy take, because it's not just about racing, and it's not just about car-themed things. There is a world. And they wanted to show that world by bringing in the British intelligence and the spy world and the gangsters to some extent, and I absolutely appreciated that. And I also appreciated the cleverness. I loved with the whole spy theme, I loved all of the stuff that they did in regards to putting weapons on the cars, because we've seen that in James Bond movies, we've seen that in Batman, we've seen that in Get Smart, and I also loved how they brought that into the fray along with the Disney Cars theme humor. It was done very well and in very good taste. And I also really appreciated the whole thing with the lemons, because car people who just love everything about cars and car history, car brand names, they get this stuff. They know what these cars are. And I think that people who just love talking about cars will just get all of that insight and that humor and just appreciate it. Maybe not love it, but definitely appreciate it. But as a whole, there's definitely some downside here, and to a certain extent, it has to be Mater, because Mater is a cute and lovable character, but I still feel now that he has gotten a little bit annoying. When you take a look at the original movie, it's all about Lightning McQueen and all of these other characters that he met in Radiator Springs, but in this movie, they just take them all out of the picture and just make it all about Mater, and even Lightning McQueen does fall flat as a character in this movie. And it got to the point where there were some really cheesy lines that were thrown out, and I just was really cringing at some point in time. And I was saying to myself, I really gave this movie a 4-star rating when I saw it. Well, I can sort of understand it, but at the same time, maybe this was just because of the fact that I was very new to the YouTube critics community. I was showing a lot of favor towards certain films in certain ways, and I think even maybe when I take a look at some of my first seasons on YouTube, I think I was a little too generous with a lot of movies, and now that I have a much more fine-tuned critic's mindset, I am now looking at movies in a much more critical manner, and I'm not really being as generous as I used to be. And I am not going to be that generous with Cars 2. I will still say that I do like this one so much more than the first Cars film, and I am really excited for Cars 3. The trailers look dramatic and epic, and we're going to get a lot of Mater too, because he is in the movie, and the one thing that I'm really worried about is this dramatic vibe that we're getting now from this new Cars film. Knowing the type of character that Mater is, dare I say it, this could end up being the 15-car pileup that you just can't look away from on the highway. But let's hope that that's not the case. But I will still say that if you really don't like Cars 2, if you listen to what I said, you may want to give this one another shot, and you may see where I'm coming from. But if you're not into a lot of the things that I mentioned why I do like Cars 2, then yes, I will definitely understand why you don't like it. But I do, and I'm going to give Cars 2 3 out of 4. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. Put your comments in the box below, and let's talk about Cars 2. I will see you in the next episode of Out of the Vault. Take care. Hey, thank you so much for stopping by my channel today. If you're new here and want to see more of what my channel has to offer, please click on the link to my last video, or hit that subscribe button to be kept up to date with all of my uploads. Content of all sorts is posted here quite often, so trust me, you do not want to fall behind. I will see you in the comments, and actions speak louder than words.